There. I'm going to have to give it a bit of slop, I think. I'd be very careful with these, because if you broke one, well, you'd be spending your time on your lathe trying to make new ones of those, and of course they're hardened. It'd be a mess to lose those. So now up here, that's even sloppier. So let's see what we can do with that. We can, there. Let it drop on it. I don't know. I think this will sort of become clear as I start using it. But there we go. That all seems quite nice. So let's put that back together. We put the little spacer on. So what, the adjustment for the slack, it's not the nut like I thought. This one just uses this piece here with the grub screws. They all need a bit of CRC. Dry. And they have these little brass bushes like that, because it tightens down onto this thread. That's what it does. These tighten onto the thread. And so the adjustment to take up the slack is that tightened against the thread. Okay, so we'll put that in. Put one of these down on it. So that, yes. But that's a lot better than what I just saw again on someone doing a Sikh style lathe. And what was he having to do? He tried to make like on the rod there was that collar machined as part of the rod, and it was that up against the back of the this plate, this thing, and he machined a brass wall. And then it's tight. As soon as you take out that slack, it's just too tight at that very moment. That's as good as I've had it. That's the best I've had it. That's the best I've had it. That's pretty good. Yeah, and there's no binding at all. Good, that'll do. Yeah, not a great system. Not a great system. Potentially a great system, but I think what I'd have to do. Is there another one like that? Yes, there is. So this one here is the same. Oh, and the thread is only at the end. I thought the thread, if the thread carried on through to here, I'd just take off the thread off the rod at this end and let the bushings just tighten down onto the bare shaft, so that the threads don't mess with it. But the threads are only at that end. That's where they are. The threads are not at this end at all. The threads are only in this section here where the 3 screws tighten down on it. That's pretty good though. That was just luck. Kept going around and tightening, and then boom, there it is. Okay, I'll go with that. Let's see if this sends it flying across the room. Very happy with that. That was, see, when I first got this was jerky going across here. But how could you tell where that was coming in? It might have just been coming in from those screws. But when I pulled it all to pieces, well, it's coming in everywhere. Everywhere. So this one screws the right way. There, that's locked. Perfect. Couldn't have asked for more. Don't know why they just don't have it permanent, like as a thing on all of them. Yeah, there we go. So that can live there from now on. Tight fit. I'm going to put everything back exactly the way it was. So let's say which side can I always identify? I can identify that side with the 0, which is that side. So long as I don't wash or wipe that off, I'll know where that goes. That's a very tight fit. Bevel, just like my bike. This actually looks very tidy. It's quite dry, actually. It's not a mess at all. Don't know how you're supposed to knock these on and off. On, obviously, is fine like that, but to get it off, no, don't know. I used a tool against the housing, but didn't seem right. Thought there should have been a better way to get it off. Now, how are these looking? Just crappy, but whatever. So, to get these on, you're supposed to just feed them in like that. It's terrible. Oh, there we go. It goes on. Seems like there could be a better way to deal with that. We go outer small to the big one. So from there to there. Like that. We'll we'll assume that's being set up like that from factory, so we'll just take that there is correct. We'll certainly find out if it slips or anything. Now those I've adjusted. Quite happy with those. This one is on, I think. Yeah. So let's go. L, R, 0, R. 0, left, right. Does that turn the lead screw on and off? And that turns it one way or the other. I thought it was always attached. I don't know. Why don't I know this? Rotation direction switch. The rotation of the lathe can be switched by adjusting that switch. You can select the speed for each direction. R means right-handed, L means left-handed. Wait until the rotation of the spindle is come to complete standstill before changing the direction of rotation. Otherwise you may wreck everything. Switching on the machine. Check that the shift lever is not activated for automatic feed. Turn the speed down. Rotation direction. In 0, it's off. So you can just switch the lead screw on and off. I thought you had to, take the gears out and shit. Oh, God, it's amazing. I thought you had to, take the gear out to stop it. But perhaps not. So we're going to leave it on 0 for now. Check if that works. Main switch on. That up. And activate that to go on, off. Fuse out the back, clamping. And then it goes into actual work. All right. So there's no switch. You just go on. The light comes on. It's very nice. Come in closer, just in case something blows up. Don't have to do anything there. Don't have to do anything. That's off. That's up. Nope. All right. What do you do to turn it on? What the fuck do you do to turn it on? Oh. That turns it on, that turns it off. Set the speed, main switch, interrupts power supply. That's the same as those. Okay. Shift lever not activated for automatic. Off, tension, blah, blah, blah. Set it to low speed. With the on-off switches, the machine is switched. The lathe can only be switched on when the changeover switch. Oh, you can only turn it on when it's in either R or L. I thought that was saying you could disconnect it. So that changes the motor, switches the motor around or something, does it? So that's electric, is it? I'm not sure. And it was just telling us here, it said rotation switch can be switched for that. R means right. The lathe chuck rotates counterclockwise. L means left-handed rotation, so it goes back. So for threading, you use that to go back and forth or something. Wait until this comes to I thought in 0 the motor is switched off. Gosh. So normally, right. It works. It's alive! And it says 150 exactly. And because it's counting that off the magnets, that's surprising that it's spot on like that. 168, 200, 222, 240. It's quiet. It's much quieter than I thought it would be. Much quieter. That's spinning away nicely. 5, 6. The rattling is the gears. Yeah, the gears. 1250. 1266. 1278. Bit of oil coming up here. A little bit of oil there. And how great is that? Yeah, oil all over the place. Run out of spindle and radial slip of periodical radial slip of spindle. Well, the radial, the run out is this way, so that way. The radial is that way. And we've also got the spindle nose, which this seems to indicate is the little ledge there, which is what the chucks sit on. That's what centers the chuck, is that part. And then there's the bit inside, the internal taper. So I've got values, acceptable values, and actual measured values. So they're saying that the radial runout is B, less than 1/100th, so 8 thousandths. So it should be less than 1. That would be nice, wouldn't it? That went over the little, that's the 0 mark for the, well, I am getting something like that, but let's move this along here, just so I miss that. I think that'll miss it. Will that miss it? Yeah. This is a bit dry feeling. The other one felt better than this. I might have to grease that a little bit. Okay. So it's just a tick under the 0. It's going down, tiny fraction. Well, and we're around again. I'll start there. This is hundredths of a millimeter, so 0.0008 is less is, you know, 8/10 of a hundredth there. In fact, it's almost impossible to get this into the right spot for that. Let's try that. So that's bang on, but I bet it's... Oh, that is nice. That almost does not move. Well, I don't know where they're measuring even 0.008. Sorry, 0.008. 8/1000th. So my measured value is effectively 0 radial runout on that. Yeah, 0. Let me just turn off that in case it doesn't come on. When I did it with my other indicator, I got 0 or 0.1, sorry, 10th of a hundredth, or like 1,000th of a millimeter or 2,000ths of a millimeter, about that sort of thing. So I'm just going to try it with this, which I've set up to be perpendicular and everything. So this should give me a reasonably accurate reading. Let's try that. So I'm just doing this by hand. There's the 0 mark, so it's going to bounce over that. Hardly. Yeah, I'm getting the same. Basically, the width of a needle. So the measured value in the book here was, the acceptable value was 0.009 millimeters. The measured value is 0.008. I'm going to call that something more like 1 grade. I'm going to call it 0.002. That's 1B. 0.002. So that's great. Couldn't be better. Next bit, we'll measure the... Well, while I'm set up like this, I will measure the runout of the radial runout of the bit that the chuck sits on. How can we get into there? Again, it's going to be so that's off, on, that's the maximum range, so we're quite good there. Right, now I haven't cleaned this off, and I can see a little ding up there. It's got a ding. I'll deal with that ding. I'll just take it off with a stone after. I'm not sure if that'll affect this. So let's measure this. This is measure 2. Acceptable is 0.009 millimeters, and measured is 0.007. Yeah, okay, so in this case, so that's, mind you, I'm on the very, very edge. So it's the same all the way around until there's one little spot there. And then it's the same. There's just sort of a rough spot there. Yeah. Well, that's the ding. Okay, are there any others? No. I think I'll run this in a little bit further. That way it's not quite on the edge. Okay, let's try that again. That was the ding. I'm seeing the same value as up here on the outside. The width of a needle. Two needles. But it's the same in all, it's the same for like 80% of the round, or 90% even. And then it just goes off by the tiniest bit. I'm going to call that the same as the last one. I'm going to call that 0.002. I'll put a little D behind it as a ding to clean up. Yeah, so we'll look at that. Trying to think what did that. Whether I knocked it, I could go back through my videos. Not sure, but obviously one has to be careful of all these things. I haven't been absolutely perfect about it, but so the next one is going to be down here. I'm going to do the inside of this. I'm going in a few millimeters. I have to constantly stop. All right. All right, can we see this? All right, let's try it again. Now I've gone quite far in there. Let's have a look. Well, by far I mean I'm not on the very, very edge. I'm in about that far. There's my 0. I have to say I'm extremely happy with the results here. That's the same again. It's a needle width to one side and a needle width to the other side. I'm going to call this 0.003, because if anything, it's a tiny tick more, but it's still well under half.